Hi there, it's Erin Tracy. Um, I'm finishing up this series of talks, whatever you'd like to call them, about transformational healing of anxiety and anger. And I wrote this out today, and I thought I would share with you my thoughts here to wrap up this series. So over 10 years ago, there was a time when I became aware that my anxiety, my overwhelm, my anger, my resentment, this constant current was affecting my health. It was costing me. And at that time, the health impact was annoying but tolerable. There was chronic pain, digestive issues, sleeplessness, and I was coping with it. It was something that I decided to just look at mitigating and learn how to live with it. So I was accepting what my body was doing at that time, what my emotions were. And what I realized later, and I'll tell you, there was a couple of things that had me realize this, is that just simply mitigating where I was and what I was feeling was really assigning me to a decades-long path of misery, and perhaps could have led to impacting my health so much that my lifespan might not have been as long. I was in my early 30s at the time, and my mother was diagnosed with two cancers in her 40s, two different kinds of cancers that were genetic in nature. So I can see this now, but I want to acknowledge that I definitely benefited from mitigating the cost of my health issues, mitigated to addressing the I benefited from mitigating those. My diet was cleaned up. I was exercising more regularly. I was working on getting better sleep. I began to seek spiritual guidance from the faith that I grew up in and other traditions as well, because actually they all say a lot of the same things. Sought guidance from a therapist. And back then I decided that where I was really wasn't all that bad. That in fact, maybe this was just the general progression of getting older. My mom, I thought, well, she dealt with all of this stuff, so I guess I have to do it too. And then I had a story too, well, other people are suffering much worse than I am, so I'm just going to deal with what I got and endure what was going on in my body, endure what was going on in my emotional state, high anxiety, the constant worry, the constant irritation, and the simmering resentment was there. I was just going to deal with it. That was what I remember quite distinctly, deciding that I was just going to hold the status quo. And all of those things that I did helped. Those interventions I mentioned helped, as did regular massages for my pain, getting energy work. And my health was not so susceptible to crisis. And I found that pretty groovy. I thought I seemed like I was moving in a direction that wasn't such a backslide. And then some more stuff happened in my life, and it became increasingly uncomfortable to simply just tolerate where I was. Tolerating the slowly declining energy, the health things that weren't really, they were just barely maintaining where they were. They certainly weren't getting a lot better or staying better. And it became uncomfortable to just live with the anxiety and that simmering resentment I mentioned earlier. And the things that happened were, my mom got a terminal cancer diagnosis. I watched, and this is a little bit vulnerable for me, but I found that I could not watch home videos from when my kids were younger and from the not so distant past, because I could really see my unhappiness in those videos. And seeing that was part of me making a different decision. But I also was diagnosed with chronically high, dangerously high blood pressure that wasn't responding to any Western medicine or any other things we were trying. And I had this palpable feeling, and this was anxiety, that I was hanging by a thread. And so I shifted from that decision to mitigate, and I decided that I did not want to experience the rest of my life as it's just going downhill from here. Now, I'm going to take an aside and say that, yes, we get older and our bodies don't, they may not be as strong as they were in their 20s, although I feel way stronger and way better than I did in my 20s. And that is because of the process that I now do with other people and what I take them through. But at some point, yes, our bodies do start to change. But how we are as we encounter that, we experience that, it can make all the difference. Because even if things are physically declining, it does not mean that internally and with our happiness and our joy and our ease and our peace, that those have to decline as well. So the cool thing was, and you've all heard about this if you've been following me, is that I learned how to improve the quantity and quality of my foundational energy, my internal energy, or my chi. And I did this with Pangu Shenggong, which I learned over 9 years ago. However, what I didn't fully understand at the time, this practice, it helped me right away. But I didn't understand that it wouldn't be enough to only practice that powerful Qigong. I actually was being given an opportunity to train my heart and soul to be more calm, more open-minded, more loving, kind, and humble. I needed to do that to truly change the trajectory of my life and my internal emotional state. And the more I traveled on that path while working hard and being consistent about elevating those qualities, the better my health became, which was very, very groovy. I was less anxious and irritable. And at first that was just in general about things, but then I was handling familiar situations with less irritation, less worry, less overwhelm. And I am going to take another pause here, that when I speak about training my heart and soul to be more calm, to be more open-minded and loving, kind, that this is not about morality. And a lot of us in our faiths and in our growing up, we're taught that we should love everyone, and like this was the moral thing to do, to be kind. Yes, of course. And it's more than that. This is a life-affirming choice to make. And it will absolutely, if we choose to cultivate that, it will absolutely help our health, assist our relationships, and how we go with the flow. So the key to unlocking that potential of elevating my life and my heart and my soul in that way, and I think that this is true for everyone, it wasn't just about improving foundational energy, which I speak a lot about. It's really important. Like, you have to do that. Lots of spiritual teaching and spiritual guidance and applying those things to your life, it's wonderful, and definitely do it. It can help a lot with the go with the flow piece. However, if we are depleted, and in Western culture, we tend to get that way, we will only be able to get so far in applying that guidance in the intentions that we have to be more broad-hearted. So when I work with clients, and this is what I have done for myself and still continue to do, I invite them to get curious about what is actually in the way of being calm, of being more open-hearted, of being kinder and more loving to yourself and to others. And it doesn't matter so much that we put words to it or, identify exactly what it is, what the story is. It's sometimes useful to uncover a bit about where the story is. But whether you name it or not, when you actually can let go, unplug from a belief or a story that's been keeping you in contraction or just miserable for a short time or a long time, that's when the other possibilities begin to reveal themselves about how you can respond to what's happening. And the way that I do that with my clients is, and I still do it for myself, and I'll explain about that in a moment because of how we heal, is I use a combination of, well, first I teach them how to improve their foundational energy, and then how to apply the deeper meanings of that practice to their life so that it keeps getting better. And we use medical Qigong protocol to get at the energies that have sort of seeped in, and allow your mind to rework and your body to rework how it feels about certain things. It's a little bit too much to get into here. There are, of course, many methods for doing that. I have found that when combining them both with a powerful foundational practice that raises you up internally and the energy of someone who is not you to help you unplug from things so that you can connect more fully to, you could take it, you can call it spiritual guidance, ancient wisdom, your own inner knowing, whatever it is. So that as the doors begin to open on the possibilities, you can begin to spiral up in your healing journey instead of going around in circles. And so the thing about healing anxiety, our traumas and things that have happened to us, and the experiences, any experiences, maybe we don't even label them as traumas, but that they came before, is that it doesn't have to happen all at once, in one moment, in one session. And how long it actually does take varies by individual. And maybe we're kind of bumping up into our vulnerabilities our whole life, and that's how we grow. The thing is that what's clear to me and to, I feel like it's clear from my teachers, is that when we have improvement in this foundational energy and the powerful support to unplug from those stories, so that we begin to see that we can actually have joy and ease and peace, even as we're spiraling up and healing, even as we still suffer sometimes. And in fact, the suffering could be these opportunities to grow even more. So sometimes it's useful to remember that we don't have to make it wrong, that sometimes we still feel like things suck, that things just aren't feeling that good, and that we don't feel completely healed. Yeah, so healing and growing and evolving, I have felt very comfortable being invited to see that as a lifelong journey. And you can start right away with building that muscle of not minding so much what happens so that you can go with the flow. So that things that trigger your anxiety, trigger your anger, trigger your grief or your shame, that you move through that more quickly as you're internally stronger. What I would like to share with you now is that, as you may have heard if you were following these little videos or other things that I've been posting, is that I'm starting a 4-week intensive next week. We'll be on a rolling basis, but the kickoff is next week. And I am very excited to offer this alternative structure of focused support that's intended to immediately calm your nervous system with support and showing you how to do that, so that you open this pathway to continue to understand what's in the way and start to move it out of the way, or definitely move it out of the way, so that you keep spiraling up in your stories, letting go of the patterns and the energies that have been causing you the most pain and contraction, that get in the way of you being able to be present with your family and your friends and your work and yourself. What I found is that when you have focused attention on this, even for a short period of time, it's game-changing. Absolutely. So you're not anymore just merely mitigating or putting Band-Aids on wounds that really need major attention. There's no more tolerating anxiety and overwhelm, and even this sense of tolerating your health challenges. The health challenges may not go away in an instant either. They may not. But how we are with those things as our bodies get older, or maybe we have a diagnosis of some sort, it matters. It matters about for how we live our lives. So I hope that you will explore joining me, and I'm very happy to have a private conversation over text or email about that. And in the bottom of this video, I'll also post the invitation to this 4-week program. I still have the other more intensive, longer program. However, I've realized that there are former clients who might like to dip back in for a bit. There are people who may not know me so well that would like to see what I'm all about, and this would be a good way to do that. And then there are even other people who feel like there is just some missing piece that, with a different kind of support, can help move it out of the way. So if you'd like to explore if I am a good fit for you to do that, please reach out to me. And I thank you for your time this afternoon, and hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks.